Join us for a tour of the all-new Skoda Octavia. Let's go! Please subscribe to us if you haven't done so far, and thanks to all long-term subscribers. By the way, Brian has already reviewed this new Octavia in the studio with different trims and colors. You should also check out that video later and see how Brian's perspective is. Now today, my perspective here at the live premiere event. As always, live on tape right here. In the front, the new Octavia right here. Yeah, finally they skipped this split headlamp unit. Yeah, in the recent facelift, they had a split right there, and everyone's like, what? Why? Now it's finally solved again, so one headlamp unit that goes all the way through and it's also looking just wider. And here again, another front look at a different color, where you can also see the daytime running light, which are on now. So with this two-element design, and I'm really glad that the front grille and the headlamp unit is now one unit. This looks so much better than in the recent predecessor after the facelift. What's your take on that? 4.69 m, 15'4" or 185 inches is the length, and it's just a slight increase by 2 centimeters or 1 inch. And that means it's 41 centimeters or 16 inch longer than the Volkswagen Golf in the new generation, or 8 centimeters or 3 inches shorter than the Volkswagen Passat. So this has always been the Skoda scheme, that they actually put their cars between the other cars in the segment. So this one here is still on the Golf platform, but it's really way longer than the Golf and offers even more space. And that's what has been making this car so successful, also price performance wise. There will be new wheels available. Those ones here are the 18-inch aerodynamic wheels, so they look really futuristic, and here also fitting to the IV, this plug-in hybrid, to make it a little bit more efficient even. And they have really worked on the aerodynamics of this car. This one here, they say, is now the most aerodynamic car in this very segment. And the rear really looks way sportier than before, here with those new tail lamps, also with LED technology and horizontally drawn. Then the big Skoda lettering right there. And I'm really glad that they did not go for any fake exhaust as for the design in the lower end, so a pretty clean design overall. And I would like to hear your opinion. How do you rate this one here, the new generation, if you think about the predecessor? And to me, it's a massive step forward as for design. As for engines, let's start with the biggest news. This one here, a 1.4-liter turbo petrol engine, made to a plug-in hybrid, so made it with an electric motor. This one here in 2 horsepower outputs, either 204 or 245 horsepower, and a 6-speed DSG. Battery 13.3 kilowatt hours and charging up to 3.6 kilowatts. Then there's the diesel side, 2-liter TDI, 115, 150 or 200 horsepower. The latter two ones also with all-wheel drive. Then there will also be a 1.5 TSI CNG, 18 kilograms of CNG capacity, 9 liters of fuel capacity, so clearly CNG focus, 130 horsepower. And then to the classic petrol engines, the turbo petrol engines, the TSIs, a 3-cylinder 1 liter with 110 horsepower, or 4-cylinder 1.5 liter with 150 horsepower. Those two will be a mild hybrid when you pick the 7-speed DSG. And then no MF possible for that one, the 2-liter 4-cylinder with 190 horsepower. That one also with a 7-speed DSG possible, but that one no MF, and new shift-by-wire DSG. Well, we've seen that the Octavia still has hydraulic struts under the hood. Yeah, the Golf 8 not anymore, so that's an advantage for the Octavia. But there's one thing that both Octavia and Golf have in common, that's the door closing sound. And that's really flawless, really sounds very good. And even richer might be this feature, of course, you know it also from other Skoda vehicles, and you have the umbrella here, or you can also have umbrella in both sides, or one side umbrella and the other side a snow brush. Brian showed it to you in the studio review. Interesting. Then there's a bright interior right here with the bright leather red. The top part here is also soft touch with a structured surface. That's also interesting. Then we have a galvanized levers here, so everything good build quality, nice inside door pockets, optional Canton sound system. And this interior is also, for example, the bright Alcantara right here. There is also a fabric surface available that also looks quite fancy, like a grey fabric surface. Then it will still start with analog gauges. Those ones are the optional 10-inch digital instruments. This is one news. Then there's also a head-up display unit. You can already see it right there, this box. And it will directly be transported into the windscreen. This new steering wheel is also completely new. Has a hole right there. And then, for example, here the metal knurling knobs. Heated steering wheel is available too. And then you can control the digital instruments with the right side, for example. Then different seats are available. You can get the base seats with a fabric. Then there are, for example, also those Alcantara surfaces available. There will also be a sport seat with integrated head restraint with so-called thermoflux material. This one will be breathable. Probably these seats to go for. Not here today, but I will keep you updated on those. And then there's also an optional animal skin Ergo Active. Ergo Active it's called at Volkswagen, but there's a new Ergo seat that is either coming with animal surface when you want the seat cooling. Other than that, you can also get the new Ergo seat with a fabric surface. That's also possible. And the cool thing about this interior is it does not only feel like a compact size vehicle, not even mid-size, maybe even larger, because it's so roomish in here in the front especially. And I'm 1m86 or 6'1", and I can find a perfect seating position, and it really rather feels like an upper size vehicle. So here, steering wheel with a manual control like this. Also soft touch surface here for the top dashboard, again with a structured surface. So they really paid attention to the choice of materials right there. And when I sit right here, have the seat set like I would be driving, approximately like this. Well, headroom still leaves some right there with 1m86 or 6'1". There is a panoramic roof built in here. You can, of course, also go without one if you want more head clearance. And interesting is also that you can slide it open like this. Like there's no real button here. I think I would still prefer a real button, but that's the way you open then this panoramic roof, and it goes all the way over the vehicle. Indeed, this is the new interior overview. Horizontal stress definitely, and set here is analog instrument base and optional those virtual instruments 10-inch, and on the right side starts with 8-inch, optional those ones the biggest 10-inch, and then without any physical buttons. Then we have some Alcantara right there, nice, but also fabric surfaces is possible. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this black panel lacquer here, especially on the world premiere, gets a lot of fingerprints. It will look better in your personal car, but still there are maybe also some alternatives right there. And soon more details to the both screens. Actually, one thing I want to already show you, this one here is for the volume here, capacitive, but not too much a fan of that. I would then rather maybe, control is a steering wheel, the volume, this is, maybe better, especially as a driver. So, rest right here. There are still buttons, for example, for the driving mode, especially when you have the DC dynamic chassis control, then it also influences the suspension. Now the top 10-inch infotainment up close. Here you can change the temperature. Yeah, I always prefer the real physical buttons. If you're not someone who leaves 22 degrees Celsius, AC on, and that's all, then you either have a home screen, which you can also configure yourself, what you want to see there, or the main menu, like this, all via touch, of course. We can also show you how the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connection, in this case Apple CarPlay connection, looks like. Will also be available wirelessly and is also very well integrated just over the whole screen. And then you can always go back. Also Bluetooth connection is still the same. And then we go to the navigation right there with nice visualization. And yeah, it depends also, on the internet connection, how responsive it is at the moment. right there. There will also be frequent map updates included when you buy this vehicle. That's also an interesting decision, definitely. So on the steering wheel, also with a heated function available, this will interact with the screen in the front. This one here for the sound on the left side, and on the right side, this is really where you control all the things. Here with those buttons, you switch between 3 different base modes, so to say. You have the map mode, and you have the dark or night mode, and then you have this classic mode, soon everything of that in detail. And then with this metal knurled jog there, you can control what you do on the right or left side of the instrument panel each. Or if you are in this map mode, so here we go back, and then this one here zooms in and out. This is probably the most useful function to use it for. And then above that is the adaptive cruise control. Well, and getting to the rear door, what you can see here, this one is hardpack here, but still a structured material. Then you have those manual shades. The red at the inside then too. Here we also have the Alcantara surface. It will be the same depending on what you pick in the front. In the middle part you will have, but then in lower middle console you have 2 USB-C chargers, as well as optional in a climate unit, also with seat heating for the rear seats, if you like that. And the pockets are also quite interesting right there, because there's the normal pocket, and then there's here a separate smartphone pocket. And the rear legroom has even increased more than the predecessor, so still abundance of legroom, even more than in the predecessor. That's pretty cool, although those ones here are pretty thick seats already. So a real lot of space here in the rear. And headroom wise, yeah, that feels like it has been decreased a little bit, but this is also with panoramic roof. If you have really tall passengers in the rear, then you probably leave out the panoramic roof. You can also flip the seats right from here. And then there's new function here as those sleeping horns, that when you fall asleep, maybe get in those situations you fall asleep and then your head is being kept tight so it doesn't fly all over the interior. And I mean that's really cozy, because you know the situation when you sleep and we are sitting and then your head turns away and then you oh my neck. So this can really prevent this. Pretty cool functions. As for the trunk, this has always been a special thing with the Octavia. So here, clean roof rails, nice fabric surface here also, and then press 1, press twice, rails at the side, very clean, definitely. You can have this net here also. You will also have a trunk cover available to make it even with the loading sill, if you like. So in this case, I can also remove the net, if you like, and then I can show you underneath. So replacement tire also available. In the IV, the plug-in hybrid, you will lose height right there. So there will be less of capacity because it's higher than here, but you will still use it very well. It's no problem actually. And this one here, now either 600 liters in the sedan or 640 liters here in the Combi. This is 30 liters more. But if you flip the seats, which we cannot do at the moment because there are people inside, well, we could still try. here, use those ones here to unflip them then. We will do it at a later stage, but I can tell you, when they are flipped, then you lose a little bit of luggage capacity if you compare it to the predecessor, because the roofline is a little bit lower. But most of the time you will use this area, and this area here is bigger than before, so this will be quite helpful. The colors for today, by the way, were brilliant silver, moon white, lava blue and velvet red. And this brings us to our conclusion. And we're outside here meanwhile, so we're just a little short time in the cold here for our conclusion. And this all-new Octavia generation, definitely from the exterior, a big change in design. So now more attractive, sportier, especially now finally again with the headlamps that form one unit with the front grille. That looks so much more elegant, so much bolder than before. A little bit growth in the exterior dimension, a little bit flatter as well, but not too drastic changes. Interior, material upgrade, I think, and then also digitalization. This is the main focus, especially if you go for the top setup, 10-inch. But if you want to stay a little bit more conservative, you can still go with the analog gauges on the left and with a smaller 8-inch on the right. This is also possible. At the end of the day, you also want to keep a good price-performance ratio for this vehicle. Of course, abundance of space on the interior. It feels, so high class when you sit in there, and so comfortable, and so much more space around you. It really feels like a car that is 1 or 2 segments above when you compare the usual price. New engine upgrades also. Electrification has been pushed forward with the PHEV, also with the mild hybrids. Not sure how much they will actually contribute to the fuel economy. The PHEV, definitely the IV, Octavia IV, the most interesting version. And of course still a big trunk, a little bit better than before. Just when the seats are folded flat, because of the lower roofline, you have a little bit less space, but it will be the question if this one will affect you in your everyday packing or not. So this one here is still one of the best price performance cars on the market. When you pick everything, also head-up display and then all of the extras, yeah, it can also get expensive, but still you get more car than with most other price performance ratios, also with a lot of the competitors, and that's also what's making this car so famous. Really looking forward also to the new thermoflux seats. Maybe we can have that at the driving event. Those new sport seats with the breathable material, that will probably the seat material to go for, and also pretty cool as for the integrated head restraint and so on. So we will keep you updated with different versions of this car, different trims. Please also tune in to the one that Brian and Holger brought back, also from a preview studio episode. And I hope you enjoyed our episode here with Jonas and me, Thomas, here for today. Please leave us your comments and see you next time.